in more ways than one, by Friendly the Flower. Clover slowly stirred awake as he opened his eyes. Once his vision cleared, he was met with a sleeping Kanako right in front of him, her face very close to his with her arm wrapped around him. His eyes widened in shock, knowing for sure he wasn't this close to her when they fell asleep the night before.
K- Kanako?
Clover quietly said as her eyes slowly began to open.
What?
Kanako's vision cleared as she stared directly at Clover's face, which was right in front of hers, not to mention her arm was wrapped around him. Then Kanako's eyes were wide as saucers as she quickly crawled back while blushing like a tomato.
Ah, sorry, Clover.
But she crawled back too far, making her fall right off the bed, hitting the ground with a thud. Clover quickly sat up and crawled to the edge of the bed, looking down at the disheveled fox.
Kanako, are you alright?
Oh,
Kanako winced in pain as she slowly got back up, grabbing the side of the bed for support.
Clover. Wait, why were you in my bed?
She pointed at him accusingly, trying to contain her flusteredness. Clover nervously reeled back as he responded.
Well, the only sleeping bag you had was broken, remember? So you invited me to sleep in your bed.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Kanako said, yesterday's events now fully coming back to her. Clover got up from the bed as well.
Anyway, we should get going. You think your mom's up on now?
Yeah, smells like she's cooking breakfast right now. Perfect time too. We should probably get going, as you said.
Yeah, good plan.
Clover said, before putting on his cowboy hat and boots. The two of them left the bedroom and walked into the kitchen where they saw Soroba cooking up some food. Kanako smiled as she walked over to her.
Hey, Mom, we're up.
Soroba startled a bit as she looked back at Kanako.
Oh, hey, you two are up earlier than I expected. It'll be a while until I finish making breakfast, so I guess you can show Clover around the house if you want to, dear. Alright, thanks, Mom. Come on, Clover.
Kanako said as she walked off. Clover followed her down one of the hallways.
So where are we going?
There's a place outside the house that I want to show you.
Kanako said with a hint of sadness in her voice. She opened the front door and stepped out as Clover followed closely behind her. The two of them walked around past the house down a sandy pathway, leading towards a small nature area near a cliff. Once they stepped onto the cliff, Clover saw what looked like a stone grate placed in front of a tree.
Whoa, what's all this?
Clover asked in awe as he stared at the serene environment around them. Kanako sighed as she replied,
This is my dad's grave. I just come here every so often to talk to him, really.
Oh,
Clover was unsure how to respond. He could tell Kanako held a lot of respect for her father and was still sad over the fact that he was gone. Kanako chuckled a bit, a somber look in her eyes.
I guess my dad wouldn't be very happy to see a human standing next to me, but I'm sure of how nice you've been. Maybe you could have changed his view on humanity, just like you did for me.
I'd like to agree. Your father seemed like a very smart man.
What are you talking about, man? He was. I still really miss him, but that's why I'm trying to take after him, you know? Continue where he left off and make the underground a better place.
That's really sweet of you, Kanako. I'm sure he'd be very proud to hear that.
Clover said to her, tipping his hat to her in respect. Kanako smiled sheepishly, looking a bit flustered from his compliment.
Thanks. But yeah, all I really want is to make him proud.
The two of them stared at the grave in silence for a moment before Kanako spoke up again.
Anyways, my mom should probably be almost done with breakfast by now, so we should head back inside. Follow me, Clover.
Just as Clover was about to follow her, something near the grave caught his eye.
Yeah, you go ahead. I'll be right with you in a moment.
As Kanako walked off, Clover walked over to the patch of grass and other plants next to the grave. He kneeled down next to it and looked closer before spotting a black rectangular object, and upon closer inspection it looked like a VHS tape. Clover reached for it and picked it up to reveal it was indeed a tape. He scratched his head in confusion at what this could be and why it seemed like it was purposefully hidden by someone. For now, though, he stuffed the VHS tape into his satchel before walking back towards the wooden house, leaving the stone grave of Chujin behind him. Kanako walked back inside the house as Clover followed suit, the daft smell of fresh pancakes gracing her nostrils. Both of them eagerly made their way over to the kitchen where they saw Soroba serving a bunch of pancakes at the kitchen table. Soroba smiled as she looked over at them.
Ah, welcome back, you two. I've made us some pancakes, or corn cakes, as I apparently like to call them, since they're corn-flavoured. I hope you don't mind, Clover.
Clover slumped a bit, still weirded out at how literally everything this woman makes has to do with corn.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Oh wow, it looks yum as hello, dog.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
It's fine. Looks yummers as usual.
Kanako said excitedly as she sat down at the small kitchen table and began digging in. Clover did the same as Soroba sat down next to them.
Who's speaking? I think that's Clover.
No, that's a robot.
Oh, okay. So, after we finish our breakfast, we'll head to the Steamworks. I guess we can pay a quick visit to the Feisty Five in the Wild East, since we'll be passing through there anyway, and since I know how fond you are of them, Kanako. Oh yeah, I can't wait to meet up with Uncle Star again. It's been a while since I've last seen him.
Kanako said, her face lighting up.
Who's the feisty five?
Clover asked curiously. Soroba sighed before.
They're a group of people that quote-unquote run the Wild East. They can be a rowdy bunch at times, but they're pretty cool people to hang around. Starlo, or North Star, is their leader. He's an old friend of mine, and I think you'll get along with him quite well.
Clover's expression lit up a bit in excitement. A group of rowdy folks running the Wild East? It sounded like something straight out of the cowboy flicks he grew up watching. Clover felt giddy at the thought of meeting them, though he quickly reminded himself to stay focused. He had a mission, after all.
They sure sound like a colorful bunch. Can't wait to visit them.
Clover said as he finished his breakfast. Kanako stood up as she finished hers as well.
Well, I'm ready when you guys are.
Soroba nodded as she stood up, taking the plates and putting them in the sink.
Alright then, you two, let's go.
Just as Clover was walking towards the front door, Kanako and Soroba walking behind them, they all heard a knock on the door. And Clover remembered Martlet would be visiting first thing in the morning as he went over to answer it.
Oh, that must be that must be Martlet. Forgot he was coming here to pick me up and take me to the castle and new home.
Clover opened the door, but instead of seeing Martlet, he saw a cat monster with a long pink hair carrying a mailbag. He saw a cat monster with long pink hair carrying a small mailbag. She took out a small envelope from her bag as she stared down at Clover.
Hey there, you wouldn't happen to be Clover, would you?
Clover looked confused as he responded.
Yeah. How'd you know that?
Oh, I just guessed it was you. You see, I have this letter from someone named Martlet that was supposed to be delivered to you. Here, take it.
Are you fucking lost?
Okay, the cat girl said.
The cat girl said, holding out the envelope in front of her.
Thanks. Who are you exactly?
Clover asked as he took the envelope. The cat monster smiled as she winked at him.
Casey, I've been delivering mail for quite a while now, ever since the UGPS I nearly said trans. Ever since the UGPS transferred to using mail carriers a few months back, the pay is alright, but I'm dreaming of going bigger. I really want to become an entertainer, have a face the entire underground can recognise. To help with that, I want to make a TV show with me as the main star. And with some charm and a bit of luck, I might even surpass, what was that robot's name again? Mettaton?
Kanako asked.
Oh, right, Megatron. How could I forget? Anyway, yeah, I just know I'm gonna make it big someday. That's why I drop my life story to everyone I meet.
Casey said with a confident smile. Then she looked back at the three of them, who weirdly stared at her. She nervously laughed before continuing.
I guess I was rambling a bit there. Anyway, thanks for using the underground postal service. Thanks for using the underground postal service.
Casey said, tipping her little mail hat before turning around and walking off. Clover couldn't help but feel like he had seen that catgirl monster before, but he shrugged it off before starting to open Martlet's envelope. Once he took out the letter, Kanako stood closely next to him.
So, what does it say, Clover? Of course you've seen her before, she's in every fucking thick.
Clover
so.
responded after skimming through the letter.
Well, Martlet's saying she's having a sudden training session in the morning with the other royal guards in Snowden, so she won't be able to come here until sometime in the afternoon today.
Sarova internally sighed in relief when she heard this. The last thing she needed was more complications on what she was regrettably planning to do.
Well, that's okay. If she can't take you to New Home, then I'd be willing to.
Wait, really?
Clover said in surprise, turning back to look up at her. Sarova nodded back at him.
Of course, it's no trouble, really.
Kanako stepped outside through the front door.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head out. Clover, be unique. Jump out the window.
Clover jumped out the window. Clover broke his knee again.
Ow.
That's a different fic, I'm pretty sure.
Clover smiled as he followed Kanako out the front door as Sarova nervously followed behind them, the three of them beginning their short walk down to the Wild East. As they walked back to Oasis Valley, they noticed a few fruit stands set up around the area.
Oh, yes. I forgot there would be a fruit market here for today. I guess now's a good time to get some sweet deals on fruit.
Sarova said, eager to buy some. Kanako scanned the fruit stands as they walked past her. As they walked past before. Kanako scanned the fruit stands as they walked past before her eyes widened as she saw one of them, before slowly pointing at it.
Okay, but let's stay the hell away from that one.
Well, why? It's just a stand that sells pears.
Clover said with a confused look.
Because pears are my weakness.
How?
It's just the word, Clover. Ever since I was little, just hearing it makes my skin crawl. Don't ask me why. I don't even know. Clover, go fight those pears for me. You want a ship? Go fight them.
Kanako responded, handing Clover a gun. Kanako responded, shuddering at the thought of the word. Sarova rolled her eyes as she went to purchase some other fruit.
Don't actually fight the pears, dear. Kanako, you and your weird fear of pears. I guess I'll get us some peaches and berries then.
After Sarova purchased a good amount of fruit, the three of them left Oasis Valley and continued down the path to the Wild East. As they walked, Clover looked over to Kanako.
Kanako, I forgot to ask, how's your leg feeling now?
Oh, it feels mostly better by now. Like I said, I just needed rest, but thanks for asking. I'd actually forgotten this fic was the one where that happened.
Yeah. Kanako responded with a cheerful grin. Sarova sheepishly smiled down at her.
I'm happy to hear you feel better, dear. Just be more careful around bridges next time. I'll try to, Mom.
Kanako replied, giggling a little. Once they made a sharp left turn, they found themselves approaching a western-themed town as Clover felt the corners of his mouth creep up in excitement. They all made it to the center of the town, but it oddly seemed quiet, save for all the voices and music coming from the nearby saloon.
Well, looks like they're in the saloon. Come on, you two.
Saroba said as she led Clover and Kanako inside. The three of them walked through the saloon doors and stepped into the busy place, bustling with other monsters, drinking and playing games with each other. Saroba looked over at Morey, who was singing while playing a guitar on the stage, while the other members of the Feisty Five listened. She walked behind Starlo, Clover and Kanako staying behind her.
Hello, Star.
Starlo jumped slightly as he quickly turned around to face Saroba.
Ah, Saroba. You darn had me startled a sec there. Pleasure seeing you here, though. So, what brings you, if I may ask?
Well, there's someone I wanted to show you, actually. Someone you might find interesting, to say the least.
As she said that, Saroba stepped to the side. Starlo's eyes landed on Kanako first, but then he looked next to her and saw a human? Wearing a cowboy outfit? Visiting the Wild East? He had to be dreaming right now, because this could not be real. He shakily raised his hand to point at Clover.
Are you a human?
Clover nodded excitedly as he tipped his hat towards him.
I sure am, partner. Saroba here told me all about you and your 55 gang. My name's Clover. Pleasure to meet ya.
After he processed what he was seeing, Starlo had a cheerful grin on his face as he immediately went onto the stage.
Morey, stop everything. I have a very important announcement to make.
Morey stopped playing before looking at Starlo with an annoyed stare.
Star, what could possibly...
Then their eyes landed on Clover, who stood behind Starlo.
Wait, is that a human?
They sure are, and I'm about to introduce him to everyone else.
Starlo said as he walked to the center of the stage. Morey walked off as Clover walked onto the stage with him. Starlo took the microphone as he began speaking.
May I have everybody's attention?
The entire saloon went silent as they looked over at Starlo on stage. Then he continued.
Wonderful. I have a very special guest today that all y'all would love to meet.
Starlo put his hand on Clover's shoulder with an excited smile on his face.
This here is Clover, and he's a human that came from the surface.
The entire audience perked up as they heard this, their eyes falling onto Clover as Starlo continued.
I know! Exciting stuff, a real honor! And while I would let Clover tell y'all about their surface life, let's say I've been studying up. I'm a bit of a human expert now, if you didn't know.
Here we go.
Saroba said, rolling her eyes.
Here we go indeed! So, did y'all know that humans use monsters for transportation?
We use cars.
Clover corrected. Starlo awkwardly looked back at him.
What? What are cars?
Machines that take you places.
Ah. Well, I'm sure y'all also use those large four-legged monsters, right? You pretty sleep on top of them and everything?
They're called horses, Star.
Kanako said, giggling to herself.
Ah, so you know one of them personally. That's quite impressive, Kanako.
Kanako nervously laughed as Starlo continued.
Did you know the humans are fireproof? Whenever they're feeling confident, they ride monsters straight into a huge fiery sphere.
That's the sun.
Clover said with a sheepish smile.
Ah, right, the sun. How could I forget? Have you ever rode one of those monsters in the sun before, Clover?
Well, I wish I could. We don't really use horses anymore, though. Plus, we can't actually ride into the sun.
Clover responded, shrugging. Starlo looked confused.
What? But I seen you human cowboys do it all the time in those movies I watched.
It's not... never mind, continue.
Starlo faced the audience again as he continued speaking.
Anyways, did you know that...
Look, Star, you don't need to keep this up. Because it's all true, every word.
Saroba interrupted with a playful smile.
Ha! I knew it. I'm pretty darn good, aren't I, Clover?
Clover nervously smiled before giving a thumbs up.
Darn tootin' you are.
The audience agreed as Starlo smiled with pride.
Well, I reckon we're done here. Y'all can go back to your daily lives for now.
As the saloon returned to their regular activities, both Clover and Starlo stepped off the stage.
Now, Clover, it's about time me and my posse show you what this town has to offer. We can go on all sorts of missions, and if you do well enough, I might just promote you to my personal deputy. How's that sound, cowboy?
Clover really wanted to say yes to the offer, but he had a mission to accomplish, and Soroba said they would just pay a visit.
Well, I'd love to, but Soroba was actually going to take me to New Home since I need to go there. We just stopped by here to visit.
Soroba nodded as she walked up behind Clover.
That's right. It's been nice stopping by, but we've got to get going, Star.
Starlo's mood dropped a bit as he put on a pleading expression.
Oh, come on. Can't you spare some time for one cowboy mission? It won't take that long, believe me. So please.
Kanako stared back at her mom with the same pleading look.
You know, he's right, Mom. Just one game couldn't hurt.
Soroba hesitated, glancing between her daughter's pleading eyes and Clover's eager smile. She sighed, knowing she couldn't win this one.
All right, fine. Just one game.
Their eyes landed on Clover as he thought about it before shrugging.
Sure, why not?
Starlo nearly jumped in excitement, having a big grin on his face.
Yes! Good answer, partner. I'll get the rest of the feisty five, and well, I'll head outside to discuss what we're gonna.
Do.
Let's just say I've been cooking up this fun little activity for a while, and I just know y'all gonna love it.
Oh,
Kanako
I
did-
can't wait. I know. My brain. Scottish. Oh, I can't wait now. Lead the way, Uncle Star.
Kanako said in excitement. Once Starlo called over the rest of the feisty five, they all began heading out the saloon. Clover and Kanako looked at each other and smiled in excitement as they went outside to go over the activity.
Yeehaw!
This is what happens when I don't proofread my fics.
Explosion in the distance.
Yes.
Alright, let me stop this.